this is, what's your top tip for compliance, for AML compliance? What would be your top tip takeaway for everybody listening?
For me, it's top tip is those building blocks. Remembering that you know that the you can break down compliance into its constituent parts. Um, the, the the sort of the secondary one, I think, would be to listen to what the regulator is saying is their focus.
Mm.
So, when they started doing the AML audits, they started on firm-wide risk assessments. Everybody had to go off and do those. They produced a template. Then last year, they started on client and matter risk assessments, and they produced a template, a warning notice, guidance. Next, I think we're probably going to see them concentrating on training. There's a big push at the Legal Services Board for continuing competence. I think we're probably going to see something from the SRA to focus on AML training. And we're probably going to see a bigger focus on Regulation 21 audits as well, because I haven't seen an example of an SRA audit where they didn't say you should be getting an independent audit.
Yeah, definitely. I share that feedback as well. Even like the smallest of firms where you would naturally make a presumption that they don't. Actually, I've seen the opposite opinion, which again, when something's subjective, I think it's super hard for us, isn't it, on the other end, because it is a subjective viewpoint in some respects. So I think if you decide that your firm doesn't need one, or you don't think you fit the description of Regulation 21, again, make sure you document and record that, so that should you be asked at a later date as to why you made that decision or that assessment, again, you can back it up. And I think that feeds nicely into my top tips, which I approach maybe a little bit differently, but I put document everything. That was my first one. Stay updated. So make sure you stay on top of the updates and all the good stuff Jonathan just pointed out there that's kind of been coming over the last couple of years. There is a lot of material out there. Um, Foster this culture of compliance. So make sure you do have those open door policies. Make sure everybody knows that it's safe to ask questions. It's safe to be curious and ask for a second opinion. Like, I've been doing this a long time. Jonathan's been doing this a long time, but tomorrow I might come up against something that I've never seen or never heard of, and it's not a weakness to speak about it and to ask and to share and um yeah. So make sure you have that environment where everybody feels that it's a safe space to speak and ask. Use the risk-based approach. So when you tailor your compliance efforts, make sure it's focused, make sure it's unique to you. There is no one size fits all. So templates are great, but make sure that you think about you and your firm. Don't ask people to do things if it's not relevant. Otherwise, you end up with answers like not applicable. And you'll, if you ever meet me in real life, it's not my favorite word. You'll learn that. Don't hesitate to, like I say, to ask for help. Feeds back into that open door policy. And lastly, the thing that I always say is always have an inquiring mind. Be curious, not suspicious, but curious. And if we approach everything with that curiosity, it really does set us in a good stead. So again, that's me more talking about like the client due diligence and the things that we're doing all the time. But I love that phrase. Um, and just remembering that it's compliance and AML and kind of all the things that you're doing day to day are ongoing. They're not one-time tasks. So continuously review, reflect, improve, and make sure that that'll help you make sure that you're as kind of compliant as you possibly can be.